Hello, Lori Michelle, here to give you guidance through Gog and Magog, World War III. God decreed President Trump lives. His profound signs and penetrating messages. He gave them to me. Lots of God-fearing, God-loving people know that was a miracle we saw on Shabbos last Saturday. I didn't see it on Shabbos. I saw it when I opened my phone in the middle of the night, Sunday morning, like 3 a.m. Wow, incredible. But as the news stories unfolded and as I looked at the video, wow, the signs are very clear. And you might see some of them. The rabbis would see a lot more than I'm going to share today, but I'm going to share 4 very powerful signs that you may not have noticed. So the first one is the day. The day this occurred was Shabbos, Sabbath. And someone might say, he's a goy. One of you, I'm not making a disparaging comment about non-Jews. When I say goy, I mean it with affection. So he says to keep going. I'm tempted to re-record this because you told me that you found that disparaging and you don't like that terminology, and it means non-Jew. But he's not Jewish. Donald Trump. Anyway, it was Shabbos. Wow! Do you understand how powerful that sign is, the 7th day? Some of you who listen to me are Seventh-day Adventists. I don't really know what that is. I'm Jewish. There's Jews and non-Jews. Really, that's it. But there's lots of religions, and it was Sabbath, Saturday, and that's a big sign from Hashem. There I go again, the Torah part 2, my Shabbos morning miracle. Shabbos, a miracle happened to me. Was it 2 years? It was April 14. I've posted recently about this, 2007. I was running a half marathon in Brooklyn, New York on Shabbos morning. Not a Shabbos activity to be doing for the Moshiach. But this was, wow, before Shabbos was on my radar. I didn't keep Shabbos. I wasn't kosher. And he revealed himself to me that morning. And he revealed himself loudly and with penetrating force to President Trump on Shabbos. He says yes. So that's the first thing. It was Shabbos. It was, the date was July 13. The rabbis, I wish they were with me, but they're not. They could have so much to say. It was also the 7th of Tammuz on the Jewish calendar. He's saying not to go there. I didn't even talk to him about that aspect of it. In the future, we'll talk about this some more. So the first thing is, it was Shabbos, the holiest day on the calendar, the 7th day. Number 2, the bullet struck him in his ear. His ear. Hear me? Do you hear me? You think that's a coincidence? He says, no, he's talking to me. He's talking to me to relay this to you. He struck him in his ear. I'm going to relate it to me. He turned off my ears. I went deaf. Ears. What did I do? I screamed to him, Shema Yisrael. Hear, O Israel. President Trump was struck in his ear. Very significant, powerfully significant, Hashem says. The other thing that needs to be spoken about is he struck him in his right ear. I really wish I had the rabbis with me. That's, wow, his right ear. Chesed, look at the Kabbalah chart. Chesed, love, loving kindness. Do you hear me? He doesn't have to shout. We have to shout, sort of, not really. Sometimes I shout. So that's it. The day, Shabbos, he was struck in his ear. He was struck in his right ear. The time. Did anybody look at the timestamp of when this happened? I always look for God winks and signs from him, even though I'm talking to him. And if I don't see them right away, he'll draw my eyes to it or he'll tell me. President Trump dropped to his knees. He stood up, and we know the iconic picture that's all over the internet, fight, 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 surrounded by Secret Service, escorted off the stage. When he got to his car, surrounded by Secret Service, protected by him, throwing their bodies in front of him, and about to enter his vehicle, the timestamp that I saw was 6:13. 6:13. Wow! Wow! Hashem's timing is precise and perfect. Let me explain something to you. When he was on stage, I saw a video, and maybe you've seen this already, of the bullet. They actually can circle where the bullet whizzed by his head. And I saw this, and I said, Hashem, this was before I knew that he had just turned his head to the right. That little turn to the right saved his life. But all I did when I saw this online in the wee hours of the morning, I said, Hashem, life and death. It was, the doctor said it was like a millimeter. He turned his head at that precise second. So what do I know of this? And wave the book at you again. In January of 2010, I discovered he's in here with me. He just said, no one else is like this. But, however, he can do this to anyone. He has done this to many people over the course of history. Sometimes you know, and sometimes you just think it's happenstance, good luck. Wow, he was looking at a slideshow and happened to turn his head. No. This morning, I was running. I hope you watch this whole video, because if you do, you will learn. Wow, Hashem. You're going to learn something, and you need to learn. This is the end of the road. We're out of road. So this morning, speaking about how he went like this to President Trump, I'm running, and suddenly I'm tripping and almost fell on my face because I was in my head talking to all of you at one of our big stadium events that haven't happened, and I don't really know that they will ever happen. But in my head, I'm talking to Hashem and visualizing one of these events, and I lost my footing. But what really happened was there was a piece of metal sticking out from the ground that I didn't see. And I hit it in just the right way and just the right moment. And I felt him catching me and not letting me fall and smash my face on the pavement. He says, yes. I run with him. I talk with him. I eat with him. Everything. I do everything with him. He's doing this now. You don't know this. It looks kooky, right? Oh, you're a nut. No, it's him. I am in total synchronicity with him. And in January of 2010, that's when I discovered it. I didn't know. I thought it was all me. And he started playing with me like I was a rag doll. My arms are flipping around. Who's doing this to me? I kept running to the bathroom to look in the mirror. And he would grab my hair and go like this to me. What's going on? He's playful. He's joyful. He's powerful. He did this. President Trump. If you saw where the bullet was right there, and clipped his right ear, not just any ear, his right ear, hear me, chesed, the right exact second, is Hashem. If you have any doubts at all, probably don't. If you're listening this far, you don't. You know God's real. Oh, you're not telling me anything I don't know. Well, I am going to tell you something that you don't know if you respond ever like that to me or anyone. I went back to sleep around 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I messaged one of you. I'm in touch with several of you who listen to me. I love you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for receiving. So I went back to sleep and I woke up from a profound prophetic dream. It's not really, I guess it's prophetic. It was a dream sequence that he gave me to incorporate with my penetrating message for President Trump, for you, for Joe Biden, for Kamala Harris, for J.D. Vance, for every person, for every American, Democrat, Republican, no matter what you are. I'm neither of those. I'm just Lori. I don't have a political party or a religion. For another day. He gave me a dream sequence. Keep listening. This is powerful. I'm walking up a mountain. And up the mountain, on top of the mountain, in the trees, there's these awful animals, coyotes, with beady, glowing eyes. And they're looking at me, and they look like they want to take a bite out of me and do harm to me. Terrorists. That's what the metaphor was, evil. These evil coyotes looking to harm me. And even in my dreams, I talked to him and I prayed to him in that moment. Oh, hurt me. They want to take a bite out of me. They want to hurt me. I walked past them. I got past the coyotes and I went up to the top of the mountain. I started climbing down the mountain, walking down the mountain on a path. And suddenly to my right ear, I just caught that actually, on my right were these enormous lions, the biggest lions I've ever seen. I've never seen any up close and personal, but in the dream, they were enormous. One of these lions was so enormous, it could have taken one paw and I'd be dead. And it was daunting. I looked at these lions who had there was more than one, and they had their back turned toward me. And I looked at them and said, they don't want to hurt me. The lion doesn't want to hurt me. That lion just wants me to stay on my path and not poke at it and upset it. Just stay on the path. And so I went down the mountain. The lions didn't bother me. So what's the metaphor? This is how we're wired. This is a message for President Trump. This is a message for you. This is a message for Joe Biden. This is a message for the left-wing media and the right-wing media. This is a message for humanity. We are wired this way. He says, not me. I'm not wired this way. Another conversation. He said, humanity, humans, you with ego, are wired to either choose to be the coyote or the lion. The coyote is evil, the devil, the terrorist. The lion is the king. The lion in you, the lioness in you, godliness. In every moment, you have a choice. Are you going to choose to be the coyote, take a bite out of someone, say something evil or nasty? Or are you going to be the king and be godly and stay on message, stay on the path? That's your choice. So with President Trump, on that day, on Shabbos, when he was struck in the ear, Hashem made a decision, a decree. You shall live. Hear me? Love. Love, education, and charity will heal the world. The words of the king. What way is President Trump going to go? When we have an experience like that, when people have a life and death experience and they know that God intervened, how do you react? What is your decision? Because I assure you, entry and exit in this world is his domain. He decides. In between, you get to choose. Are you going to be the coyote? Or are you going to be the lion, the lioness? What are you going to choose? Because you have free will in this world, but he decides before and after, and he is watching you. And people don't understand that or know that. Even God-fearing, God-loving people speak and act in a way that they don't realize is evil, the coyote. So I'm going to end this video and give you an example of what a coyote looks like, because you don't really understand that, whoever you are. Several of you, I love you with my heart, all my heart. I love you. You don't understand. There's an iconic picture online right now of President Trump after he crouched down and he was bleeding. He had blood all over his face. He was bleeding from the ear. And he stood up, and there's an American flag in this picture. It's a wow picture. He stood up and he had Secret Service surrounding him, protecting him with their bodies. And what did he do? He pumped his fist in the air and he said, I guarantee you believe he was the lion. I am probably likely the only person who likes President Trump. I do. And I was that he was the coyote. And you might be thinking, how dare you say that? And how dare I not say that? You need to know who the coyote is. The coyote looks and sounds honest. The coyote may even sound like a hero, but the coyote is still a coyote. And the answer to the question of how could that be a coyote and what would the lion do? Hashem asked me, Lori, what would you have done if that were you? If I were crouching down and I knew I came that close, this close to being killed, the first thing I would do is stand up on my feet and point to him. Baruch Hashem! Thank you. Not fight, fight. Do we have to fight? We have to fight. But fight is the coyote. Rabble rousing. Crooked Joe. We need to get rid of Crooked Joe and you're fired. Coyote. He wants me to end with one more story, a Donald Trump story. I don't know if I've spoken about this online. I was in the Jacob Javits arena and he was speaking. It was 2002, maybe. I don't remember. He was speaking about his book, The Art of the Deal. And I think he was married to Marla Maples at the time. I don't remember the timing. I really don't. But I went to seminars of how to make money and get coaching and all of that. Years ago. It's over 20 years ago. And he was on stage talking, and it was just after he had gone bankrupt and rebuilt his fortune. And I was listening to him. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I was sitting to President Trump's right. I was in the audience, and he was on my right, and I was on his right. And he was going on and on bragging the way he does. Yeah, he likes to boast and brag. And I just stood up and said, I've had enough of you. I've had enough of you. And I got up and I walked to the center aisle at the Jacob Javits in New York. And I said, I'm out of here. I can't listen to you. You're disgusting. And I'm walking down the aisle in the middle of the arena, leaving, and I'm still listening to his story. And he was telling a story about how he and Marla were walking down a street and saw a man selling pencils on the street. And he pointed to the guy selling pencils. Maybe it was Hare Krishna, some poor guy selling pencils. And he pointed to him and he said, Marla, he's worth more than me. I stopped in my tracks and I turned around and I looked at him on stage and I said, you've got goodness in you. He has the lion in him. He's a good guy. Is he always good? No, I just said no. Are you always good? No, you're not. And you don't want to hear that. A few of you do. You need to know. This is the end of the road, the end of days. Tomorrow night, I'll listen to what Donald Trump has to say at the Republican National Convention and hope that I hear a tone change. Hear me, he says. The king says to Donald Trump, hear me. Right ear. Loving kindness will heal the world. Watch what you're saying. I pray for him. I'm seeing good signs. Is it enough? He says, no. You need a pounding. That's how he gets to you. Gets that hard shell, that coyote to sit at bay and reach for the king. He says, yes. He said, I did it. I hope so. A lot of parallels in this book to what just happened to President Trump. All of you have had experiences in your life. He's talking to you. Are you going to go the way of the lion or the way of the coyote? I'm not going to listen to you. Coyote. Why? I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, and I care. Take this information and think about it. More importantly, required reading in the end of days. Learn what's wrong, and let's come together and let's get it right. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.